I thought I'd start this vlog out by explaining a little bit about how this project got started. We had been discussing the possibility of starting up another community arts project for the fall, and I met with Dave Perry last week and we talked through some ideas of using some mosaic glass again, similar to the project we did 3 or 4 years ago. And what kind of got that project, at least initially, rolling around in my head was the neighbor across the street, the McDonald's, had actually a Christmas open house, and we were over there, and I mentioned that I'd been working on this project for church, and his eyes lit up, and he said, "Come down and look in my basement, and you'll see a whole bunch of windows. You can have them. If you can lug them out of here, you can have them." So I took the measurements of them. I don't have the windows right in front of me right now. I'll show you that in a little bit. But I was playing around with the dimensions of the windows on my computer using Illustrator, and thinking about it being ordinary time, I just grabbed some green to throw in as a possible design for these things. And so I was chatting with Dave Perry about this last week over at the coffee shop at church, and the concept sounded like a good one to him too. They're from a sunroom that really old windows, really well-built, heavy-duty windows, solid wood with old wavy glass. And I thought that one of the sets of windows would need to be stacked too high on top of a bit of a base, and all the hardware and the fan that runs the lights and stuff could be hiding down below. And it would also be like a pedestal that would lift it up a little bit. So I sent this around to the whole visual arts team at church to give them a little heads up that there's a project coming up this summer that they want to be a part of and participate in, that we're going to start relatively soon, and B, that if they had any feedback on this rough sketch that I'd put together on the computer, just to kind of outline the basic parameters of the project. And Art Burt, who is a fantastic artist and a carpenter and a lover of old things, and a very helpful person to have involved in a project like this, emailed back within a day or so with some concerns. So we put our heads together, fully masked. We've both been vaccinated. And Sunday evening, and talked through some adjustments to this plan. So now what I'm going to do is take those suggestions and create a new document like this. So anyway, I thought today I would explain a little bit about this design process and put a new adjusted with Art's comments document together and forward that to the rest of the group. So anyway, I'm gonna quick draw up the scale drawing of the larger, taller windows that do not need to be stacked. Well, I think that covers the revisions that Art suggested. One window high and a big, maybe 30-inch to 36-inch base. The one thing that really surprised us last time around was the noisy fan that cools the little computer that runs the LEDs. I don't think any of us imagined that that was going to be a part of this project. So having a thick base, sort of pedestal, which I'm sure Art will come up with something much more attractive than this, to lift the window up high enough that everyone will be able to see it really well from the sanctuary, all the back rows. And using that box from the back for where the wires can be tucked away and the fan can be kind of insulated away, I think will really help. These windows have been rescued and repurposed and something beautiful made out of them, as opposed to dumping them in the trash heap. So those are some of the things that get me excited about this project. I hope that when it comes time to sign up or to show up in the studio space at church to help glue glass for several weeks this summer, that you will want to be a part of that, because that's the other really cool piece of this project, is that when these things are finished and they're in the sanctuary space, part of our worship, our community, you can look up there and see something that you had a hand in making. So it's a gift to work together. It's a blessing to be a part of a project where you can work together with other creative people. I'm hoping that the other artists in the group will contribute to the design of these windows as well as the actual physically gluing the glass. And I'm hoping that you may want to stop in sometime and glue glass too with us some evening or some morning. We're going to post the schedule online so you can see when it's safe to come in and work. Welcome to my basement. Last year when we got the windows donated to us from the McDonald's across the street, I was only able to fit 8 of them in my house and then had to call around the rest of the arts team and say who else has space for these. But I think Art's right. If we use the 65-inch windows, which will come up here somewhere, and put them up on a pedestal, I think they'll be plenty tall. So they're really sturdy, solid windows. They all have really nice glass. So you can see once they've been trimmed down, the wood under this kind of wear and tear that you can see happening there, especially this one here, is really in good shape. It's just the top maybe ½ inch or so that's showing the wear of detail. So these are just 8 of the, I think, 20 some odd windows that are available to use for this project or future projects. And we are going to have to go over to the shed where they're being stored now, load them into a truck, drag them over to church, probably do some scrubbing and cleaning, and then assess what kind of paint needs to be removed before we can really safely invite lots of folks to come and help on this project. I think it's really quite incredible that they needed to get rid of the windows, and we came up with a scheme to reuse the windows, to save them, to rescue them from the trash heap and turn them into something remarkable, something uniquely Grantham. So that's the plan anyway, and we're gonna keep plugging away, and it'll be fun to see the progress. So it's a beautiful day in early May, and I had some help getting the windows brought up to church so we could start working on the windows. And I thought I'd just come over today and wash them off a little bit because they're still kind of grubby and full of cobwebs. And the top edges and the bottom edges, I'll show you, were pretty rough. And I just went and took a small saw and evened off the tops. They were a little bit like this edge here, where there was kind of a profile to it because, of course, the windows were designed to close tightly with air weather stripping and that kind of thing. So here are the 4 windows we're going to start with, and I'm just going to wash them and put them back in church, and then hopefully next week we'll get a group together to paint them so that they have a fresh coat of paint on them, and then we'll get started. Well, that's where we are so far this week. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching. And if you're interested in helping out next week with any part of the work, whether it's painting or scraping, we're going to get together Tuesday during the day and Wednesday the afternoon and try to get the windows a little closer to the stage where they'll be ready for groups to come and start working on them in probably the first week of June or so. So stay tuned, and we'll be posting progress here to this channel as things happen. And I'm hoping that people who are participating will be interested in talking a little bit about their participation, that they'll be willing to be part of the blog a little bit. I would love for you to meet the other folks who are contributing to this process as we move along. So see you next time.